Hey everyone, my name is April Robson. I want to thank Kelly so much for asking me to come in here and chat with y'all because I am a former client of Kelly's. I reached out to her. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. And working with Kelly truly did change the way that I looked at not just my diet, but many aspects of my life, and has been a tremendous help to me. So when Kelly asked if I could just share a little bit about my experience and my story, my advice, I was really excited. My story is not perfect, and I am not her perfect client. I messed up a lot, and I ate things that I wasn't supposed to, and probably had a little bit more wine than she would have liked for me to have. But to me, that's life. And the one thing that I really did love and appreciate about Kelly so much is that she helped me take my real life and sort of make small changes that were easy for me to uphold over time, instead of telling me to completely cut things out. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why I was able to really make some considerable changes to better my health. And that was just that nothing seemed like it was too hard. So let me back up the story a little bit and tell you about myself. So I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've known Kelly for several years. Have always been just so inspired by her. But in a way, I kind of felt like what Kelly was doing was just so, like, she was 20 steps ahead of me. And she's going to be laughing right now as she hears that, because she'll be like, April, stop. But that's how I felt. I just turned 40. I am a mom of three, two here on earth and one up in heaven. And we lost my middle daughter just 5 months ago, and she was only 5 years old. So I just kind of wanted to tell you that out of the gate, because as you can imagine, it has been a tremendously difficult year, and probably not the kind of year where you think about maintaining health and wellness goals. I feel like if there was ever a year that I could have some grace to just let it all go, it would probably be this year. But I also believe that everything happens for a reason, and I feel like what I learned from Kelly during the time that I was working with her really helped me plant some seeds that carried me through late summer and fall, which was the time of losing our daughter, and then directly after that. And my daughter had been sick for a very long time. So my kids right now are 7.5 and 3.5. And then that missing middle step was my daughter, who should be 5.5 now. And her name is Charlotte. And Charlotte had been sick for about 3 years with a terminal diagnosis of a degenerative disease. And it was a genetic disease, but we were told from the get-go that there was no cure. There were just comfort measures. So the way that our life has looked in the last 3 years, obviously there's been a lot of sadness, but then there's also been a lot of like, all right, we're pushing up our sleeves, and I had to learn a whole lot of new skills about how to take care of a medically fragile daughter who I just wanted to give the world to, but who also had needs. You know, she was on a feeding tube, and she was on oxygen at night, and multiple medications during the day, and she had seizures. And so again, I tell you all this to let you know that it was very easy for me to sort of fall into patterns that were unhealthy, but I also knew that slipping into those unhealthy patterns would cause me to not be the best caregiver for Charlotte that I needed to be. And I also needed to be a strong mom for my other kids, and a good wife too, who didn't just pull the sheets up over my head. Now, Kelly did ask me what led me to ask for help. And I'm just going to be completely honest here and tell you that it's straight up vanity. I'm sure this is not the first time this has ever happened, but I ordered a bathing suit from Amazon, as we do, and I put it on in front of the mirror and I was like, okay, I feel kind of cute. And then I turned to the side and I noticed that what was sticking out the most was my tummy. And with my youngest at the time being 3 years old and definitely not being pregnant, I was just kind of like, this is just sort of depressing to me. And I know that sounds vain, and I knew at that time, I was like, April, you have bigger fish to fry than this, but it was a thing for me, because it was a visual representation of everything for the last 3 years that I had just kind of gotten lax on. And I knew that I could be better. In fact, when I entered college, I was a health and exercise science major. So I have a passion for health and wellness. And then before I became a stay-at-home mom, my corporate job was working in corporate wellness. So you can see a pattern here. This is something that I'm interested in. I just wasn't putting much to use. I wasn't putting what I knew into practice. So after the bathing suit incident of 2020, or 2021, sorry, all these years, a blur. I reached out to Kelly and I said, can you just help me? I need to know some small things that I can do. And I need to make some changes. And I don't think I can commit to a major change, but I need something. And so she said, all right, this is what we're going to do. I need you to be journaling. I need you to be sending me your progress daily. I was not so good at sending everything to her daily. Sometimes she would get like 2 days in a row, but she gave me grace on that. And it was just nice knowing that I had that accountability and someone was going to be looking over what I ate, drank, how I rested, how I practiced self-care. Kelly knows that I do a lot on my phone. I have a business that I lead from my phone. I used to write a blog. Social media is kind of my jam. And so she was very serious about, April, self-care needs to not be like this. Okay, it's not going to be sitting on the couch with your phone. It's going to be doing something else. So I had to just make some small tweaks to what I was doing. The hardest part of the Solid 6 for me was probably the self-care. Hate to admit that, but there were times that I just at the end I thought, I have done so much for my family today, and I really didn't find or make time for myself that was truly just fulfilling just for me. So that was a little bit of a struggle for me. And also, as far as the nutrition goes, Kelly knows where this one's going here. I love wine. I also know that I was in a very, very difficult time and probably reaching for the Sauvignon Blanc a little bit more than I needed to. Not to excess, but definitely using it as a way to sort of take the edge off of just hard life stuff. And, you know, she never told me that I couldn't, but she would also say, if you are going to have that second glass of wine, I need you to, make changes in other areas, up your hydration to account for that extra glass of wine, up your exercise minutes, really just skip out on dessert. April, if you're going to go out to dinner and have an extra glass of wine, don't get the dessert at the end. So I really did. That was a struggle for me, but I also feel like I learned a lot through that. As far as what parts have stuck, guess what? I became a salad eater, and I used to just not really understand how people could get jazzed about eating salads. But I found a very small trick that I want to share with you today.